You can let it go if you want.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Hello, everyone. You know, when you're in the moment and the author comes from down under up top where I am, you want to get on to the MYC Virtual Bookstore Author Series. We're a couple of hours early, but that's okay, because when you've got a story like this particular author, we want to make it. And he popped on and we're going to have this happen. So good. Let me see, it's 5 p.m. to me. So good early evening, Scotty, here in Vancouver.
Yep. What is it? It's 11 a.m. here in New South Wales, Australia.
Oh, so welcome to the Virtual Bookstore Author Series.
Well, it's great to be here.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about your background.
Sure. Although, it's interesting I'm on a show for authors because I've never really, and I don't really want to be considered an author.
Okay.
But if you write a book, you've got no choice anyway.
True enough.
But yeah, look, the background, just to give a 30-second was I, left school, sold insurance for 10 years, wanted to start a company or a business, I should say. It turned into a startup company, which I went on a successful journey of and exited at the age of 46, financially independent, if not financially wealthy, and retired. I haven't really worked since. Now, though, what keeps me entertained and stimulated is things like writing the book or doing mentorship for senior execs and presidents. I do a lot of that now. So it's lots of fun.
Well, and you've got a bit of a passion. I've known Scotty since the advent of the pandemic and connecting with people all over the world. Shout out to Randy Neely, because that's who brought us together, I think about 2.5 years ago over on LinkedIn, and we've had numerous conversations. And I'm part of your 135 System 135, your partners in there. So though in your personal life, you are after the greatest what? Fill in the blank.
Lifestyle.
And it involves the ocean.
It does involve the ocean. It's my happy place is the ocean for surfing. But, I can also swim in it. I can stand up paddleboard on it, but I do love the ocean, yes. Dive, swim, you name it.
I so enjoy when you post on LinkedIn, and the analogy I'm going to use for a second, and you know me, I love to teach an analogy. I was talking to somebody about this whole MYBC Virtual Bookstore Author Series, and like I've had editors and agents and illustrators, and soon a ghostwriter is going to come on and talk about what that looks like. This is our medium. This is our book writing. If we think back in the 1700s, early 1800s, quill was taken, we wrote that, and then somebody said, oh, put it in my town crier, set it out to the world. Then it went in a magazine, then it went on a TV show, then it went on a movie. This is social media, is our media to share our book about life. And I so enjoy on LinkedIn when you share excerpts about your book you've written. You're actually a couple of physical books that you've written, but also your book of your life, to get to know who you are. So I just want to shout that out to you, Scotty, because many people are fearful. Oh, I can't put that out on LinkedIn, or I can't put that out on Facebook. And it's like, well, if it's truly who you are and it's your book of life, why doesn't it belong there?
Totally agree. I mean, you can be vulnerable. You can share some of the backstory. There's no problems with that, but a lot of people are embarrassed about it. On the other hand, I'm quite proud of it. It made me who I am. It's drove me to achieve the things that I have achieved, which most people don't get to do. And I often wonder why I did it and they didn't. And it was that drive. It's those things that I guess forced me to do it. If it was to be, it was up to me. And I just went ahead and did things. Had the blinkers on, didn't listen to anyone else, just did my own thing. Which sounds a little bit negative because I rode my own boat, but I just did. I just had my own goals and aspirations, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. At the same time, because I was so focused, I thought everyone around me was doing the same sorts of things. As it turns out, not everyone really does apply themselves as well as they could. They can be really academic, they can be really technically smart, but when it comes to that entrepreneurship or that business acumen to really succeed, a lot of people have a lot of fear and timidity. And for some reason, I had it, but I managed to harness it and turn it into good.
Yes, yes. I often say that one, you said if it's going to be, it's up to me. I echo that in my head all the time. And then putting aside what I say is the radio station no one should listen to is WIIFM, is what's in it for me if I do this. We just kind of have to tune that out and go, okay, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And how can I serve? How can I help? How can I go out into the world with my blinders on that somebody doesn't say, oh, excuse me, you're not supposed to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And just doing your own thing. I'd love to know about your support system, Scotty, because when people take pen to paper or fingers to keyboard or voice recorder, or however you compiled your 2 books, what was your support system like? As you said, okay, family, this is what I want to do. This is how the next step in my legacy is writing books.
Well, I didn't really have a support network, to tell you the truth. I just told them what I was doing.
Oh.
I didn't ask for support. I said, this is what I'm doing. And mind you, it did take 4 years to get to that stage. So,
oh, wow.
So, when I look at this book, for example, The 5 Systems of Successful People.
Yeah.
I guess it was 30 years in the making, 4 years in compiling, and 12 months of actually writing and to get it live. So it took a little while, but there was no surprise to anyone. They always knew I was going to do it, but it really is a lot harder than you think to write a book. I mean, I had a personal goal. So the first book I co-authored, as you know, this book was 100% to be done on my own. So from cover to cover, word for word. I did have friends help edit. Okay, yes. Like Randy McNeil's one of them. So a few people owed me some favors. I said, have a read through, edit, tell me what you think, what you don't understand, or any blatant, obvious spelling mistakes that Grammarly put in for me. That's how I started arguing with Grammarly. That's how bad I am. Anyway, so I said, no, I want it to sound like that. That's how I speak. It has to sound like that. And Grammarly goes, you don't want that word in there. And I go, yes, I do. But anyway, they supported it, but it is a lot of work. So sitting there and reading it, and editing it, and making sure it sounds right. Then you go in these cycles and this transition of, oh, it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. So there's a lot of transition there, because when you write a book and you put down your thoughts, you become totally naked or exposed to people's opinions.
Right.
All of a sudden it's like, it's written. You can't just go, well, what I meant was, now you have to write in there what you mean. And it's like, and I'm already looking at V2 of it next year with a proper publisher, and in that I'll fix a few things up myself that I know I probably could have said that better, but at the same time, in principle, it won't change. The 5 systems won't change.
Right.
So it is a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. So you do need a support network. If people aren't going to support you when you're sitting at the desk and you're writing and you're reading, and yeah, it's going to be a tough gig, right? Totally understand why people engage a ghostwriter, because I never ever would have written a book knowing what needs to go into it now. If I was running a company or a business, it just would not have happened. So
I'd love to pause for a second. And your first book was a collaboration or co-authored.
Yeah.
So what did that look like? Why did you choose that, or how did that come to be? The MYBC Virtual Bookstore Author Series, Scotty, is someone's going to watch the YouTube or watch this or watch it over on Instagram, and they will hear that. I often say that 1% that's going to click and go, oh, so that's what they're going to learn. That's what a relationship looks like working with a co-author. That's what, I have to say to my wife or my husband to go, hey, I'm going in my office, closing the door, don't open the door. I've got my head down working on this. So about working with a co-author, what does that entail?
Well, the first book we wrote was, build a business you can sell, how to make the most money now and when you sell. So basically, Lana Coronado was the first person who reached out to me and said, can I buy your books? And I went, well, I don't have any. So she came to me on LinkedIn. And then anyway, she came to me a little while later and she said to me, she was a business investor. She was the chairman of the company. She's now since retired, right? So things change fast. Anyway, she's now since retired, but she came to me, she said, there's a lot of people who have businesses. We can't really help them sell their businesses because they're not really businesses. They're just jobs. Okay, there's not business to sell. It's not a business we can buy. So she wrote this document. It was about 17 pages long. She said, Scotty, what do you think of this document? And I started reading through it and I went, hey, Lana, you've almost written a book here. Anyway, by the end of that conversation, I don't know how it started or how it ended up, but we decided to write a book together. So we said, well, let's do a book. She must have said something like, well, why don't we do it together? And anyway, I agreed to it. I hadn't actually written one yet, and I was really keen to go through the process to see what it was like. So now I had a partner. I had someone to leverage with. Call it perfect business judo. Okay. Perfect business judo.
Yeah.
The first system in the book. Anyway, so I've gone, my business judo now is I'm going to leverage this and we're going to go forward and see what the process is like. And we did. We just said every Friday, ready or not, we'll catch up at 1:00. And every week. So we'd write some, do some, write some, do some, check some. I'd be checking hers. She'd be checking mine. What makes sense, what doesn't. Some weeks, oh, look, I've been too busy. Can't do anything. I can't do anything next week. And other weeks that we did a lot. A year later, we had it done. And then we had to publish it and put it live. And we did. We put it live. And, it's been selling. People have been buying it. Neither of us are really marketing or promoting it. So it's sort of just sitting there, having a life of its own. But we did go through the process. And I guess for Lana, it's her legacy that she's leaving. It's a great validation for her as a chairman of a company. It was a business investment company. So that's really good. And the moment that stopped, I immediately started on this book, which was the one I really wanted to write. The 5 systems of successful people. This has been a passion of mine for a long time, to get these 5 systems out into the world in a format that most people can read and relate to.
Well, we'll wrap up. I often like to say with the first book, and then I really want to get into the second book, is I often say, name me a couple of people who the first book would be a good gift or to pick up and read. Who do you think?
Well, some of the accountants, for example, the business accountants,
okay,
have been buying the books to give to their clients.
Okay.
So that's the other thing that's happened now with the second book. It's been more like business coaches, and I had a senior exec team. I'm not sure if you heard of Kaseya. It's an American company that's really big. Anyway, they turn over $1 billion a year, and their company bought 100 books for their exec team to use as part of their executive development, personal development. So they're the kind of people. So anyone that's got a business that's thinking one day it'll be worth some money to sell can read the first book, no problems. That's the category for it. Or a business broker, once again, he says, well, your business, maybe you need to read this book. We'll package it. This is how you package your business up better. So it can be worth some money.
Okay, great. So now we move on to System 135, the 5 steps where you wrote this book. So explain to us what the book is all about.
All right. Well, it's the catchphrase at the bottom is working smarter, not harder.
Oh, so, don't we all want that?
We all do, right? And someone said to me, oh, can you really do that? And I said, yeah, I can. I can really help you work smarter rather than harder. Now, I've never said that you don't go to work.
The word work is still in that phrase.
It's still in there, right? It's not about, I'm happy to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week as an entrepreneur and a business owner. I'm happy to do the hard yards, but I really want to make sure I'm getting something for it at the end.
Right.
That's the difference. It's working smarter. It's not how not to work. It's how to work smarter. So do the work, but just get paid more for it and get more results out of it. That's what it's about. So the 5 systems are something that I created in the 90s. So before I started my own business and my own company, I already had these systems. I already had it. It was already in play. And all I had to do was try and live it. And they were on my own terms. So business judo was my own term, as it turned out. Time duplication was my own term, but I understood it. The business for thirds and the rule of 100, I'd been already implementing and using running sales teams in the insurance business. And sugar and cream was how I actually built the team and things like that. So that system. So that were the 5 systems. And then when I sold the company, I spoke for Google and I spoke for their startup grind series. I mentioned 2 of those systems. I mentioned business judo and time duplication in that talk. At the end of the talk, any questions? They both got asked about. Now, I didn't talk about them, but people asked about them. Oh, wow. So the following day, this is 2019, I went and trademarked 3 of my favorite terms: healthy, wealthy, and wise, business judo, and time duplication. And I thought, I really need to put these in a book. Even though I thought about it, I thought, no, I really need to do it. And I need to own them. I need to really make sure I own them.
I'm going to pause you just for a second there, because you're letting a little gold nugget there go. Okay. Is we all have our phrases like mine to the 4 corners of this round world. That's my thing, because I go 4 corners, round world. So if ever I wanted to write a book, can you just go a little bit deeper into you patent or you registered your
I trademarked, yeah.
trademark. What does that process look like? And is that a global thing?
It
Or
is. It
okay.
is. But at the same time, I didn't trademark it so people don't use it. I trademarked it so no one could just steal it and say it was theirs. And if someone comes along and says, I know we've been using that since the 60s, that's ours, I'd go, fine, you can have it. It's not that big a deal. I can still use the term. I just wanted, exhibit A is, you know, I heard someone talking the other day about their sales system, who's someone I've been on a podcast with and a few things. I thought, oh, gee, that was very close to some of the things we were talking about when I was on his. Now, I'm actually flattered by it, but at the same time, what I've done with these, I've trademarked it, and the process was really simple.
Okay.
Look, I don't think it's the next Coca-Cola. I don't think I have to register it that hard. It just gives it a level of, I guess, protection, and also a level of authenticity. These are my terms. I've been using them now for 3 decades. In fact, this is the 4th decade. If you go 90s, the noughties, the 10s, and the 20s. Now, this is my 4th decade of using these terms. So, you know, I just wanted to give a level of protection. To register them, it cost me $500 for each term.
Okay.
And that was it. So I didn't try to global dominate the term. No, I just went, well, give me a level of protection. I've registered it. Anyone who sees it knows that it's mine, but they can use it. No problems. They can talk about it, use it, teach, train it. I don't really mind. Okay. So yeah, so it's there to be used. So it's a really simple system. So if you wanted to register the 4 corners of the globe, you get the ability to put an R at the end, which means it's registered.
Okay.
You can stick a flag in that right now and put a TM on it, a trademark, which is just saying, well, I think I own this. This is my flag. So that's a TM. A trademark you can use anytime, but you can't use the R, the registered, unless you've paid for it and it's registered. It's in a database somewhere and registered. So one of the trademarks I couldn't get, the Rule of 100. They approved it, and then I don't know. It's a long story. It drove me nuts trying to register the Rule of 100, and it wasn't even the one I thought I wouldn't get. I thought that'll be easy. Anyway, so I now have a TM on that instead of a R. All the others have an R on them. I just gave up. It was too hard. It's not that important. Once again, it gives a level of authenticity and protection is all it was for.
And all of a sudden, if you see a T-shirt with one of your slogans on it, it's like, excuse me.
And I'll never fight it. Yeah. I will never fight it. It's not that important.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll be honored. I want people to use it. I just want to know where it originated. I want people to know ultimately where it originated from. That's all.
I think I remember reading that in your book. Did I not?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think I remember.
Oh, no, actually not possibly. I wrote it at the start. I've registered them not. I've registered them not so you don't use them. I've registered them so you do. Just go and use them, right? Teach them, train them. Yeah, no problems. Use them all you like. But I've done it for that. I did write about that at the start of the book, 100%.
And I also like to say thank you for giving me a free e-copy of your book, because I've been quite enjoying it. And I love having it as an e-copy, believe it or not, it's easy to kind of highlight and capture notes and things like that. So I want to say right off the bat, before I forget, that thank you for the e-copy of your book.
Well, it's great to be on your team.
Oh, and I even wore blue for you. The memo was not sent out people to wear blue today, just saying. At this time, Scotty, I'd love for you to pick up your book. And I often say people look at books by the cover, and that old phrase, judging a book by its cover, and turn the book over and read the back cover.
I will. I just get rid of that background. I didn't realize I was on blurry. I did an interview this morning. I was in my tracksuit. I thought I better just blur everything out. I just realized it was. So anyway, the 5 systems of successful people. Okay, so you want me to read the back? Which part?
Actually, all of the blue part.
Okay. So the top part done was by Professor Gary Martin. He's the CEO of the Australian Institute of Management in WA, West Australia. So,
okay.
So he wrote the book. He's really sharp guy. So I asked him, and he went, "Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do the foreword in your book." Okay. So there's a perception that to be successful in business, you need to be the type of person who squeezes a personal life around a demanding work schedule. If you take time to read this book, you'll quickly come to the understanding that it's entirely possible to reverse the situation and arrange work around your personal life, enabling you to double your output in half the time. So that was from Professor Gary Martin. So that was his little introduction there.
Okay.
The next bit, sorry, my phone's beeping away here. Get rid of that. The next bit is the 5 systems. This is from me now, right? So the 5 systems could have been called the 5 attitudes, habits, philosophies, techniques, or methods. You get the point. But I believed in and developed systems, and all successful people know that systems work. This book is a game changer for you, and it will open you up to the world of being able to achieve twice as much in half the time. You are going to love reading this book. Thank you and enjoy, Scotty. So that's the top blue bit.
Oh, awesome.
The bottom bit's just a small bio bit. So,
surfer, entrepreneur, a fellow that brings people together from the bottom of the world to the top of the world. And I would say in kindness, openness, and great conversation. So that's my bio for you with what I know of you, Scotty. So let's wrap this up, because I like to keep this a nice little tight half an hour here. Is now looping back to that question I asked you about your the first book. Please let me know 3 people that you think this book would be a good gift for. We're coming up to the holiday season, stocking stuffers and all the rest of that good stuff that you can buy your book on Amazon, and I'm sure. So who do you think this book would serve? 3 people.
You want names or types?
Type. So if you said someone in the trades doing, timber flooring,
this is for your solopreneur,
okay,
kind of person. Maybe 1 staff, 2 staff, but solopreneur. Someone who's starting a business.
Okay.
Solopreneur, someone who's starting a business, or someone who is starting to think about, maybe I'm going to sell my business in the future.
Okay.
How do I sell it? Is it worth any money? They're the 3 kind of people. Specifically, it wouldn't matter whether it was trade, restaurant, or whatever. It wouldn't matter. The same rules apply. It's that kind of avatar client that would read the book.
Okay.
So starting a business, obviously exiting business, but the sort of solopreneur, a lot of people have jobs and not businesses, even if they've got staff. Does it make sense? If they weren't in the business would stop.
Right.
That's what this book is for, is those people, how to add value to that kind of business. So potentially someday someone will buy the business rather than just stock. So, stock is always worth value, but how's the business worth value?
On to the next book. That book there. 3 people that you think that book would be a great gift for this coming holiday season.
Well, once again, any business owner.
Okay.
Any person who's self-motivated, will read and does action. So that kind of person, okay. And then finally, anyone who wants to work smarter rather than harder.
Oh, isn't that like the whole population right now?
No. Some people just happy to have their job and happy to go to work and do their thing, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah, not everyone wants to be entrepreneurial. No, not everyone does. Some people are just happy to get what they're given, but other people want to get what they want. Well, that's this book. Okay? That's this book. If you really want to change things around, if you want to make your 2023 better than your 2021 and 2022, you read the book. If you want to make your 2024 better than 2022 and 2021, read the book. That's the target market.
Okay. I love to add my ideas. I believe that a business school, like a curriculum, somebody who has a library in their classroom should definitely have this book. I would also say to that high school student, so somebody I don't know if you have the same kind of grading system that we do, but a student that's in grade 12, a career counselor who is kind of identified that student that's going to go on into the business field, to read that book as well, because you've written it in such a beautiful, plain English, fun stories, not technical, just really good systems, and very relatable. And I love, like I said, some of the stories that you write in there. And I'm also going to say that person who, like you said, wants to take it to the next level, and you've got some great points in there, as well as it's not all just about you in that book, which I totally appreciate. It wasn't like, because I know you, Scotty, thinking while I was reading it, it's having you echo. No, I think I sent you that feedback because I know you and I was reading the ebook, I could hear your voice in the background in my head as I was reading it. But you do share other people's stories, other business stories in the book. So that breaks it up. So it doesn't feel like, you get some business books like do this and do my way and do this, that it's a very approachable book. It's not a hard read, but it's a really valuable read for the business world.
It's not a complicated read.
No.
I mean, I'm not a complicated guy. And in fact, in between the two books, because I've already written the next one, by the way. Mm-hmm. So the next one I'm looking for a proper publisher for instead of self-publishing, which I'm in the process of even rebirthing this book with a proper publisher. Another story. But in between, I've come up with Scotty Schindler's The Street Smart Entrepreneur. These are street smart things, which makes it easier to read. Now, I'm sure some professors, although I do have them as clients, some professors will go, well, there's no big words in there. It's not complicated enough. It's just too simple. It can't be real. Well, it's true. It's street smart stuff. That's why they pay me. They're academically smart, but they go, but how do I go out and turn this into an income stream? Or how do I, you know what I mean? They're academically smart. And sometimes I'm astounded with the things I share and the epiphany moment it gives people. I go, wow, that seemed pretty simple to me. But because they've been so, I guess, entrenched in books and how to and being told what to do, their ability to think outside the box isn't there. So they're really good at what they do, like, lawyers and accountants and those kind of people. But outside of that, it's like, well, there's no manual for that. There's no book for that.
Right.
Does that make sense? There's no...
100%.
They need someone else to come along and go, well, I've got this far. I've hired a team of people, or 10 or 20 people, and, I've got this organization now, but now things are getting a bit tough. So, Scotty, can you come in and give me some advice? And I go, sure, I can help you with that. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about avatar for this, buying the book, for me, all my stuff is not about getting someone off their bum. It's about someone who's doing it. Someone who's doing it wants to do more and do it better. That's exactly what all my books are targeted at, is that kind of person. It's just specifically which book would be good for you. Even though there's a series coming out, you could literally read them in the series, or you could go, well, I just want to learn about selling, or I want to learn about balance in life, which is healthy, wealthy, and wise. Well, then you'll read that book. If you want to learn how to work smarter rather than harder, these are the 5 systems. So I'm not really going to help someone get off their bum. If I have to motivate someone, they're not really a business person, entrepreneur, or career orientated, right? So someone who's motivated, okay, now they're going to go and do what's needed,
Awesome. My last question I always ask my authors. So what's your words of wisdom to people watching about writing a book?
Look, I really don't have a lot of words of wisdom. I have noticed this, though. This is what I have noticed. Okay. So no offense to any podcast I've been on, or any videos I've done, or anything else. The book itself has done way more for validation of, because it's you've actually stepped up, you've committed yourself, you put yourself out there. It's done way more for that side of it than I ever expected. And I love going on podcasts. I'm very philanthropic with it. I'll come and share the information, knowledge, so I love it. But the book itself is like, oh, wow. So he's written a book. Okay. So there's some substance there, some validation there. And it's done more for that than just about anything else I've ever done in my life.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you so much, Scotty, for joining me from Australia in the future. He never will share the lottery numbers, though. Never, ever, ever. That's because he wants us to work hard and earn our money instead of rely on some sort of lottery system. That's my own thought process, Scotty. So please stick around, because I want to do our screenshot, of course, to make our fun little thumbnail for the YouTube channel. And I end this by saying, go grab that book, get your favorite beverage, cuddle up your favorite reading place, get a good light. It's getting darker earlier here now, up the top of the world. And take your mind, body, and soul to another place through the words of others. They've done the hard work. You pick up the book and you can learn. And as Scotty said, you want validation or even leave a legacy, maybe it's your time to take pen to paper, fingers to keyboard, and write your book. So thank you, everybody. Tune in again next Tuesday. I'm not sure at 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Where I'll be bringing you another author. I think next week is a poetry, my very first book about poetry and why she wanted to write a book of poetry. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.